Episode 5 of The Acolyte had us all in a chokehold, and I want to hang out and talk about it. Do some makeup, talk about Star Wars. To be fair, I'm going to talk about the things that I liked and then the things that I didn't like, the things that are not working with me. If you're new here, my name is Crystal Kyber, like the Kyber crystals in Star Wars. I make Star Wars videos and I do my makeup at the same time. If those are things that interest you, you might want to subscribe. Stay a while, hang out with us. And if you're ever curious to what products I'm using, I'll have them listed in the description down below, just for you. Let's start with what I did like about this episode. Why I liked episode 5 so much is because it took such a turn in a direction that I was not expecting, and I really enjoyed that. And about halfway through the episode, Yord, Jecki, and Sol were all still alive. They're all running around the forest, and I was kind of like, of course. I was so shocked when they killed Yord and Jecki. Like, that was bold. Star Wars, that was very bold of you to do that. It's something that I feel like was absolutely necessary. After killing off 2 of our main characters, the stakes became very real. I'm gonna use my C3PO eyeshadow palette from ColourPop Cosmetics. I don't know if Star Wars was anticipating this huge fan reception for Yord and Jecki either. You know, we have like the Yord Horde. I don't know what Jecki's little fan group is called, and I think that that's what made his death like so shocking. Like, I couldn't believe it. I think why it was so important to have those 2 characters die, it made me worry about the rest of the characters. When they died, I wasn't sure if Sol was gonna make it out. I was like, oh, this got real. I've been saying, and I know some other fans have been kind of saying, that a lot of these Star Wars shows have no stakes. Like, there's nothing at stake in the shows. Every single character has amazing plot armor, and I really thought that that was going to be the case for this as well. Complete shock. It was done very well, very unexpected. That was cool. Sorry if your fave died, but the most show-stopping part of the show is obviously the lightsaber fights. Like, I kind of feel like this was no plot in all lightsaber fights, which I'm not mad at. I feel like we haven't really gotten a good lightsaber fight in a while. It was cool. It was cool getting to see the Jedi be like the Jedi. It was cool to see them at their best and to see them fight like this scary Sith stranger character. I think the lightsaber fights were very interesting visually. I liked that they added this new element of cortosis, which is the element that the stranger's helmet and wristband is made out of, and it kind of like stops the lightsabers in its track. We've never seen that before, and so I thought that was a really cool element to add to the show, something to kind of differentiate it from the rest of the lightsaber duels. Next, I'm going to use my Sith Seduction palette by Pat McGrath, and I'm using Mustafar Heat, which is this one right here. Actually, the first time that I've used this palette, and I've had it for like a year, but I don't know, like, I like these colors, but they're not usually what I go towards. And yes, the lightsaber battles were cool, but I do have something that I don't like about it that I will be discussing a little bit later. Another thing that I really loved about this episode is Master Sol, Jedi Master Sol. I love him. He's my favorite character in this show. He can do no wrong. I am firmly sat in the Sol camp, the Sol Patrol, the Sol Train, the soldiers. I'm there. I'm with each of you. That man, he carries the show. Like, he is amazing. Even if he did something wrong, like, he did nothing wrong. This is also a Star Wars makeup palette from Pat McGrath. I believe it's Mothership 6 palette, and they just repackaged it. So they have like this beautiful copper color. Let's talk about what we all want to talk about. Why we're all here is we're going to talk about Qimir revealed as the stranger, which not the biggest surprise. And I really thought that Qimir wasn't going to be the stranger because it was like so obvious that he was the stranger. Oh, it's obviously a red herring. He's obviously not the stranger because of how obvious it is. It wasn't like a crazy surprise. It was just kind of like, oh, cool. But I will say, even though it wasn't like a big reveal, I thought it was still interesting. I thought that the actor Manny Jacinto, I think that he played the stranger very well, at least when he was like not hiding behind the mask anymore. I think once we got to hear him speak as the stranger, I think that Qimir, he like really pulled it off. I really liked his take on the stranger. I think he did a good job at being like his own villain. You know, he didn't go Darth Vader, he didn't go Kylo, he didn't go Palpatine. I like that. I like that he wasn't like a super elegant Jedi that had turned to the dark side like Dooku. You know, he was kind of like crazy, and I kind of like that. But something I don't think any of us were expecting or anticipating was the stranger being so hot. Like, what? They had to know what they were doing, right? That wasn't an accident, right? Leslie, please chat. Like those arms, the costume they put him in, like, girl, if Sith, why hot? Immediately after episode 5 came out, like the internet was on fire. Star Wars Twitter was revitalized. It came alive. I don't think I've seen so much life breathed into the Star Wars community since like The Mandalorian season 1. There's nothing like a hot villain to bring us all together. You know? You feel me? It was poggers. It was actually a lot of fun watching all of this go down in the past week and like seeing the community's response, the fandom's response to Qimir being the stranger, and just seeing everyone like lose their mind. We got a fan cam like immediately, which is hilarious, and I love that for us. We got fanfics up pretty quick. The ship for this show is Osha and Oshmir. And enemies to lovers is my favorite trope, so you know I'm all over it. Shipping is probably one of my favorite aspects of being in any kind of fandom, any kind of community. Like, I love shipping. I made a whole video about my favorite ships. You can watch it here, here, or here. I don't know which one it is, but like the girlies have been going rabid. And by the girlies, I mean me. This is like the kind of stuff in the community that brings us together that I'm here for. I want more of it. Like, let's ship everyone. I want to ship everyone with everyone. I want more love and more romance in Star Wars. I just think it's so silly and it's so fun. So the actor who plays Qimir, Manny, he is Filipino and I'm Filipino, so I love to see it. I love people being like, oh my god, Filipinos are hot. They've been hot. Also, my man is Filipino, so Filipinos are hot people. You know how I had mentioned earlier, we have the Yord Horde, we have like the Soul Train, the Soldiers, Soul Patrol. What the Qimir fans or stans have been calling themselves are the Qimir Army, because that episode was all arms. It was just biceps. That was the whole episode. Qimir Army. And if that's what we're going with, then I'm enlisting. Sign me up. I'm using my Pat McGrath mascara, and yes, I still keep the packaging. Don't come for me. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that I didn't like about this episode. And I know that this stuff is not as fun as thirsting over our latest Sith character, but as much fun as I have with Star Wars and as much as I love it, like, I do have a lot of critiques for it. I actually think that critique is really important. Critiquing Star Wars is how we get better Star Wars. A lot of the issues that I'm having with the Acolyte are kind of symptoms of a bigger problem within the whole show and within a lot of the Star Wars projects recently. These are my opinions. If you love the Acolyte and if you don't have any problem with it, or if these issues don't even bother you, that's cool. I'm happy for you. I really wish that I could be like that. Something that I've had an issue with some of the more recent TV shows and/or excluded, Mandalorian season 3 included, is I feel like these shows and even the Acolyte have been suffering from a lack of heart. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the writing, if it's the acting, if it's the directing. Like, I can't really pinpoint it onto one thing, but it feels very soulless to me. Star Wars, for me, has always had so much heart, and I'm not really getting that from this show, and it sucks, because I really want to like this show and I really want the show to do well. One of my really good friends told me that they stopped watching it after the first 15 minutes of the first episode because it was too Marvel and not enough Star Wars. I think that that statement is very apparent in this episode. For example, the scene where Jackie gets the second lightsaber and she's fighting the stranger, and there's this moment where she's like, you know, holding her lightsaber up to the stranger and it's like coming down to the wire, and she turns on her second second saber, and it's kind of like the shock where the camera's at Jackie and she's like, and then it goes to the stranger and he's like, and then she's like, and then they go. Like, what is that? Like, what is that? I hated that. And I know, like, some of y'all will say, well, Star Wars is cheesy, but, like, not like that. Like, it's not Marvel. That is, like, such a prime example. And there's so many of those moments that I'm just like, what is going on? The show has also suffered from a lot of telling, not showing. For example, Yord tells us that the stranger's fighting style is crazy and he doesn't understand it. Like, show us that. Don't tell us that it's crazy and unpredictable. Show us that it's crazy and it's unpredictable. Okay, now I'm gonna use my Star Wars lip gloss. So as I had mentioned earlier, something that I really did like about this episode was the fact that they killed off two of our main characters, Jackie and Yord. I think that was good that they did that. But I kind of feel like it was for shock value. And I think this because I didn't really care about them. I really didn't care about Yord or Jackie. It wasn't devastating. Like, Clone 99 dying was devastating. Dude, I think I really wanted more from these characters in terms of, like, character development. We honestly didn't get a whole lot from them. We understood that Yord is like a goody two-shoes who doesn't break the rules, but what is his relationship with Soul? Is Soul tired of Yord? Does Soul like this about Yord? Like what is their dynamic? What is his relationship with Osha? We don't know. We'll never know. I feel like Osha and Yord had like some history that I really wish they dove into. I think that would have really helped us understand like why Yord is the way that he is and why him and Osha have this relationship. You know, when she first sees Yord, she's like, Yord, so good to see you. And he's like about to draw his lightsaber on her. Like, what is that about? Did Soul have like a special place in his heart for Jackie? I don't know, because we didn't get any character development for them. We didn't get a character arc. We never saw Yord get out of the habit of being like a goody two-shoes. I mean, the only time he did is when in this episode he like went back, even though Soul told him to go somewhere. It's like the first time he disobeyed someone, but that's not really him growing as a character. And it's such a bummer because I wanted to like them. Like, everyone liked Jackie, everyone liked Yord Horde, and I was just like, I don't get it. That's why I kind of feel like their deaths were spectacle. In the previous episode, we did get moments between Osha and Jackie, and I feel like they had a really great connection or just chemistry as actors. I really loved that. And that moment between Osha and Jackie together, like, I wanted that the whole time. Like, I wanted it in this episode and I wanted it in the other 4 episodes. That little spark or that little moment between Osha and Jackie, I wish we had that with all the characters, you know? Let's talk about that lightsaber fight for a minute, because while I thought that it was really cool, it didn't really hit for me. It was definitely eye candy and it was very cool to see it. Like, there's not really like a flow to it. Like, it looks cool and that's about where it stops. And there's not really like substance there. Like, I don't really think there's great storytelling in it. The only part is like when it's Soul versus the stranger, Qimir. I feel like that's the only part of the episode where there's really like a story arc happening. And I think it's so apparent, like the beginning of the episode, we are waking up from Osha's perspective and we're in the middle of a lightsaber fight. Like, there's literally no beginning. And we're just kind of like watching this lightsaber fight happen, and then okay, like, now what? Now people are running away. When we're talking about story arcs within a fight, like the choreography, we're talking about like there's struggle. There's a beginning, a middle, and end. It's like important for there to be like story within the fight, or else the fight is boring. It was just kind of like, let's give this person some time. We'll give this person time. Oh, but we need to make sure they make it here, so let's just have them run off screen. Think about Obi-Wan versus Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. I know that's like a 20-minute fight, but the story of that fight, there's so much happening just within them fighting. Like, it starts off with Obi-Wan and Anakin being so evenly matched that their lightsabers are like mirroring each other. And then it like slowly escalates more and more until you see Anakin just become more arrogant with his fighting style. He becomes more aggressive with his fighting style. And then we see Obi-Wan have to really like search within himself. And then we look at Vader versus Luke in the original trilogies. Luke is like not only having to like fight his father and try to bring him back to the good guys, but he's also having to like battle himself. Like him battling Vader in Return of the Jedi is him like battling his own dark side and him having to like overcome his want to destroy Palpatine and destroy the Sith. Like he has to be good. And so it's like this whole journey within just that fight. It's a journey. And we didn't get that in this show. So yeah. If you want to see me talk about the Acolyte on like a week-to-week basis, I am guesting over at the A+ Hero Report here on YouTube every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll have it linked down below. It's also in my community tab. So come hang out in the chat. It's a live show, so we can interact in real time, which is very exciting. And I have like a few other guest spots coming up with a few other podcasts, so keep an eye out on my community posts if you want to hear me talk about it in real time. I really want to know what you guys think about this episode. Do that in the comments down below. And I love Star Wars. I love being part of the community. I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day, and may the Force be with you. Bye.